Ladies and gentlemen, grab a pencil and paper. We are going to have to take some notes because this episode of Darling in the Franxx finally gives us our full backstory on this post-apocalyptic world. Hello, Darling in the Franxx, episode 19. I really would have appreciated you 19 episodes ago. This is sort of the aha moment of the series, where things finally start to become clear, and we really learn what's going on in the world of Darling in the Franxx. This episode was 50% backstory on the entire world, Dr. Franxx, the Klaxosaurs, the Klaxosaur princess, and the other half was all about Hiro and his friends desperately trying to get Papa to return the memories of Kokoro and Mitsuru. Spoiler warning, they're not gonna do it. They don't care. As long as they complete their next mission, they can kick them out. They just do not care about these kids whatsoever. And that's because to them, they're essentially just livestock. They can just continue to make more. My guess is at this point is that all of these children are actually clones that they produce in something like a factory, and they simply use them as pilots. But why do they even have pilots? What are Klaxosaurs? Where did all of this stuff even begin? The backstory of Darling in the Franxx is really about the story of Dr. Franxx himself, who originally was known as Dr. Werner Frank. And over time, somehow, he transformed into a freaky old decrepit robot man. But before that happened, we learned that he was an amazing scientist who excelled in the realm of cloning. This is our first clue as to what sort of role that he's going to play later on in the future. But this entire backstory is about he and his team actually learned about how humanity could actually become immortal. That's right. They could go to the point where they wouldn't even have to worry about diseases or aging or any of that inconvenient things that humans have to deal with every single day. Of course, in the process of becoming immortal, they end up losing their reproductive organs. And while losing your junk might be inconsequential in the terms of being an actual immortal, it actually does end up having some pretty massive repercussions, as in order to actually become immortal, they have to rely on the ape organization. Dr. Frank starts working for this upstart organization, the ape scientists, who still do not reveal what they look like in this episode. Apparently, since from the beginning, they've been wearing these weird, creepy, futuristic robes and monkey masks. But basically, they end up learning how to harvest the power of magma, and this, combined with Dr. Franx's research, allows them to basically turn all of humanity into immortals. However, by mining the magma, they end up basically slowly but surely transforming the entire planet into a massive desert. And the cherry on top of this shit show sundae is that they also awaken these primordial beasts known simply as the Klaxosaurs, which are the monsters that we've seen from the beginning of the series. And the Klaxosaurs want magma, and they also hate humans, and they're also really, really pissed off. So, humanity has to come up with a secret weapon to take them down, and Dr. Franxx proposes the creation of the Franxx robots, which initially do not work, because you need reproductive organs in order to pilot them. So, they decide that they're going to have to start cloning actual legitimate children who are not immortal, and they have to pair them up in males and females so that they can go in, synchronize, and pilot the robots. They learn this through going through a lot of deadly experiments where a lot of test pilots are killed off. The most important of these is a woman by the name of Karina Milsa, who ends up being the love interest of Dr. Frank. And throughout the entire episode, you get to see their relation grows as they work and live together and even plan on getting married. But she decides to be a test pilot for one of these robots, which results in her presumably getting turned into jelly. This scene is incredibly intense, and it kind of reminds me of watching a scene from Neon Genesis Evangelion. In time, they learn to start killing the Klaxosaurs with these giant robots, but it's too late for the planet Earth. Almost everything has been transformed into a desert, and that's when Ape sort of finally decides to take over all of humanity by entrapping them in these massive mobile plantations, which just sort of slowly travel around this massive dirt ball, killing any monsters they come across. While still trying to learn about the secrets of the Klaxosaurs, they go on this secret mission where they go to the Grand Crevasse, and that's where Dr. Frank meets the Klaxosaur princess for the very first time, who doesn't appear to age at all. And when he meets her, she goes absolutely insane. She absolutely hates him. She bites his frigging arm off in what might be the most violent scene of the entire episode, and watching her go from a cute little cuddly anime character to transforming into a massive scary beast, honestly, it's freaky. It's like watching Bilbo from the Fellowship of the Ring suddenly freak out as he tries to grab the ring from Frodo. And then we learn that Dr. Frank is in love with the Klaxosaur princess. He is obsessed with Klaxosaurs, and when he sees this beautiful creature in front of him, he just cannot help himself. Even after being injured by her, he desperately falls in love with her. It's an interesting concept here, because not only in this confrontation did he get injured, but he actually managed to take some of her DNA, her hair away, and it looks like he's going to be able to use that to clone his very own personal parasites, which I'm guessing is sort of the origins of Zero Two, and maybe even Hero himself. He might be something of an anomaly. The episode ends though where we see 2 test tube babies hanging out. Man, this was just so much stuff to take in such a short amount of time, but wow, what a really great episode. So what's the rundown on this episode of Darling in the Franxx? I finally feel a little more confident talking about the series now, as we finally really know what's going on here, and this episode was really great. A little jarring at times, however, when they were starting the backstory, they would occasionally go to some scenes with what was currently going on with the story, and it was basically just the kids lamenting over the fact that Papa has lied to them, he could potentially erase all of their memories, and it's starting to plant the seeds of rebellion here. It's only a matter of time before they try to retaliate against them. Maybe they'll do it when they're set free, maybe they'll try and go and live in peace, maybe they'll join the Klaxosaur princess. Really, I'm seeing the series as almost a build-up to another season, which I really hope is going to happen, as this world has truly just expanded after this episode, and we can finally move forward with the real arc of the story. But there's still a giant air of mystery about Darling and the Franxx, and a lot of that still comes from the ape organization themselves. What's their deal? I've heard so many theories about what the deal is with these characters, that they're not even human or have physical form in the first place. Some people think they're actual monkeys, some people think they're actual, like, alien creatures. I just want to know what the deal is and what their ultimate plan is going to be, how this ties into Zero Two, the Klaxosaur princess. Even though we got a lot of answers in this episode, there's still a lot of mystery. I also really like this episode because it finally started making me care about Dr. Franxx. Before this, he was basically just the mysterious scientist with the really cool, awesome, freaking robot cyborg design. That's all there was to the character. There was a scene where he touched a girl's butt, and that's about it. But this episode right here actually made me care about him and made me realize how important he truly is to the series. And I'm also curious to know if he actually did fully go along with the whole immortality thing. I'm going to say no, if only for the fact that he actually is aging right here. You can truly see it. This also sort of explains all of the people who live in the inner underground cities. They're all actually immortal, and they basically live a life of constant tedium. That's why they go into those weird tanks which give them stimulation. In many ways, they've sort of imprisoned themselves by becoming immortal. It's very strange. It shows what happens when we mess with things that are taboo and we sort of mess with the natural order of things. We end up destroying the planet and releasing all sorts of monsters, and we have to fight them with giant robots. Essentially, it turns everything into a real-life anime series. But this episode right here was still really good. It was just great to finally get some answers about things, to finally feel confident about a little bit more of the backstory here. There's not so much more mystery, and yet there's still just as much mystery as there was before. Darling in the Franxx is one of the biggest hits of this anime season, and it's easy to see why in this episode right here. While a lot of the storytelling and tropes are somewhat derivative, it's just good to get some answers from this one right here. Which is why I'm going to give this episode a 4 out of 5. An episode which is definitely worth your time, and one that you should definitely check out, especially if you want to learn a little bit more about the mysteries of Darling in the Franxx. So, thank you guys for watching this review. I'd love to get your thoughts about this episode, and you can tell me all of them in the comments section below. Tell me, are you relieved to finally learn a little bit more about the backstory of this world? What lies in the future for Darling in the Franxx? What are the ape scientists, their ultimate goal going to be? What did you think of the Klaxosaur princess in this episode? Basically, let's get a discussion going in the comments section below. Make sure to be respectful of your fellow commenters. I'm always down for a good conversation with you guys as well. So, thank you guys for watching this video. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, stay down now, baby.